And welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm Mr. Carnage, and we're going to talk about, well, something in the industry we've been asking for a little while now. Intel has been doing it for years and years, decades. Integrated graphics on the motherboard CPU, that, and this horrible shortage of graphics processors, something that we kind of wanted to see AMD start to do a little bit more, especially with their newer and higher end CPUs. So they did announce that the 5000 series will, well, the new ones anyways, will house the Radeon graphics with the Navi Vegas technology. The sad thing is unfortunately they're all going to be on mainly pre-built computers for right now. I know it sucks, but we kind of were expecting this, I guess, for AMD, since they were talking about it for the last year and a half, that they were going to kind of switch back over to doing that. Just so people have some type of processor to use to play games, I mean, it's so entirely hard to get a GPU these days. But this is kind of the graph that we're looking at here, which is, I mean, not the best lineup in the world of processors. None of them are really top of the line when it comes to, what we were hoping to see from AMD, but you could still get a decent 8-core with 16 threads, something with like a 4.4 gigahertz or 4.7, roughly right around in that range. Now, AMD said they did have plans in the future to release 12 and 16 cores with the integrated graphics, but no time frame yet on that. So, I mean, it's definitely good news to hear that they're going this route. I've kind of seen the specs myself on these now, and that's what brought me to this video, actually, was a lot of people are unfortunately going the route of the pre-build. It's really the only way to get a graphics card, because those companies, they're the ones who get the mass shipments of the cards first. Retailers, pre-builds, they're all first. Now, places like Newegg and Amazon, they use so many third-party sellers that they get cards as well, but they jack up the price 3-4 times MSRP because they know of the shortage. So you have to get into shuffles and notification systems and, the discords, or make your own bots, which I don't really like. I think using bots should be an illegal thing, just across the board, because, you can't use them for, like, YouTube views, you can't use them for Twitch subs, you can't use them for a lot of things because companies don't allow you to. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole bot thing. But so with pre-builds, this is also giving them more of a reason to get one, is you might even be able to just go ahead and forego a graphics card altogether in a pre-build, get a pre-build with a integrated graphics, and then spend that extra money you would have spent on beefing it up a little bit. That might be the route to go. I've never been a fan of pre-built computers. I've looked at so many of them over the years, iPower and Overpower and XZT and all of them. There's not a pre-build out there that I'm a fan of. Back in the day, Alienware was the thing everybody wanted, and I never could figure it out. I pulled apart a couple of Alienwares, and they didn't strike my fancy any, especially for the price tag that they were asking. But I understood why they existed, of course. Was back then, people really didn't build their computers. We're talking early 2000s, mid 2000s. Um, it was a niche thing. I've been building computers for 27 years. So, yeah, maybe even longer. My first computer I built was a 386. That was 1992, somewhere in there. So, yeah, I mean, definitely back then, nobody built computers. We had all these mom and pop shops that when you walked in, you kind of just picked out what you wanted, and then they would build the computer there, in like an hour, hour and a half, and you'd come back and pick it up. I actually went to one of those stores. I remember my grandfather took me and I pointed to everything that I wanted, and he said, "Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get this built for you. You guys come back in an hour and a half." And I was like, "No, I'm gonna build it myself." And the guy kind of laughed at me, like, "Right, So yeah, it was a niche thing back then, and then as it increasingly got more and more and more popular, well, you kind of see where the industry went. So for a long time, they didn't need to have the integrated graphics card because everybody would have just, bought a GPU. So with the pre-builds, that might unfortunately be the way you have to go if you're planning on getting a new computer in 2021 or probably even 2022. I know that a lot of what I've read, the market is saying that we're not going to see any relief to the shortage, and they're definitely not going to be able to do much about it until the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. So if you can't hold on for right now, which I totally understand, especially if you're using last gen like a AMD FX or an Intel i7, something like that. I fully understand that you want to get into something much newer. So maybe it is time to upgrade. But if you're rocking already like a Ryzen 7 or a good Intel like i9 or something like that right now, I would hold off if you really absolutely do not want to get a pre-built computer. Because sometimes I've seen some really shady things with pre-builds, where they've taken decals and stickers off of premier products like Corsair and things like that, and then put them on cheap Chinese knockoffs and sold it as is. I've actually seen this with my own two eyes. So I don't trust some of the companies that build them, but there are a few out there that they do what they say they do, and you'll get the computer that you ask for with the parts that you ask for. But there's some companies on PC Part Picker, things like that. You just got to watch out. You really got to watch what you're doing. So yeah, that's really what you can do right now. Get a pre-build. I mean, I know it's like kissing your cousin, but desperate times, desperate measures, I guess. I really don't know what to tell you. So yeah, I mean that's great that they're coming out with integrated graphics again for the AMD Ryzen. I just wish that they had planned this a little bit better, and that these processors could be purchased with the integrated graphics by anybody that's not a retailer or a pre-built. So now the specs, like I said, are they're not bad. I mean, you'll be able to play games in 1080p definitely, depending on the the Ryzen processor that you get. You'll be able to get up to a little bit higher than that. But most integrated graphics, I mean, they're not going to 4K. You're not going to. I mean, you're just not going to blaze at 328 FPS. It's just not going to happen. So keep that in mind. But if you want to get something just to get into some of the newer games, I mean, nobody's going to hold that against you, definitely. But yeah, don't expect to be playing at 4K on an integrated graphics. Not well, anyways. So, with that being said, of course, that brings us to when are these processors going to be available for you and me to buy? Well, that's the shit thing. They haven't really given us a timetable exactly. They're so, you know, what's the word? They're just so like backstabbing with some of the shit that they say, because they say one thing and then it's like something completely else. 3, 4, 6 months down the road. So they're saying Q2 2022 that these processors will be more available for purchase, by just your everyday Joe. I honestly think that that's actually being generous with the time frame, because TSMC just said 2 days ago that they don't think that they're going to be able to get out the orders of chips that they currently have, not even for the next round of chips, until the end of Q1 of 2022. So we're not going to see any relief until right about that time. So that's a ways off. That is a ways off. It sucks. It really does. But, what can you do? All I can say is, some of the GPU buying tips that I gave on another video, just do due diligence. Keep looking at eBay. Keep looking at seller markets the best that you can. I would stay away from things like Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, just because there's no buyer protection. So you could end up with a broken card. You could end up with something that's, been pounded like a porn star into the ground. I mean, you really don't know. So at least with something that you have some type of buyer protection is definitely the way to go if you're going to buy a card, new or used right now. So try definitely to stay away from the scalpers. But so what do you guys think? Are you guys at least excited that these processors are going to be available? Integrated graphics might be the way to go for you right now. Are you just going to hold out until something, in the RTX 30 RX 6000 range comes available? Just let me know in the comments below, and we will definitely see you guys on the next video.